All right, we are live.
Everyone, welcome to Bitcoin Magazine Happy Hour number 21. We got a packed house. We got some friends and family on here, some new faces. ZEBEDEE Team in the house. We got the interns in the battle station. This one's going to be lit. Thank you for joining us. Before we get into things, I'm your host, Joe Rodgers, and I want to tell you guys about Bitcoin 2021. I heard through the grapevine we are 99.9% sold out, but there's still some tickets hanging out there. So it is 2 weeks away, June 4th and 5th in beautiful Miami. So head over to b.tc/conference and buy yourself a ticket. Use promo code Satoshi and save 10%. It's going to be a riot. Our friends at ZEBEDEE are going to be hosting a really badass esports arena, and we're going to talk about that tonight. Let's see what else is on the list of things to shill this Saturday. It's Bitcoin Pizza Day. We're going to have a fantastic live stream hosted by the one and only Matt Odell with Pete Rizzo. And they're going to be talking about all things Pizza Day. It's going to start 1 p.m. Eastern. Going to be streamed live here on YouTube, Periscope, and everywhere else we have a stream flowing. That's all I'm going to be shilling, and then I'll let everyone else start shilling. So I guess without further ado, I'm drinking a cold Busch Light, and I'm happy to be here. We'll be jamming for like 2 hours, so hop in the stream, in the chat, Twitter, whatever, say what's up. I'm going to throw it over to the studio, and then you guys popcorn around. In the studio, when do you guys kick it off and say what's up, who you are, what you're doing?
I'll kick off. I'm drinking a Welsh whiskey. It has to be good because only Scotland is really famous for whiskey. So if it's Welsh, they can't rely on branding. So that's the kind of the theory.
Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, I'm not just a person who drinks whiskey. I'm Chris, but I'm also known as MandelDuck on Twitter. I'm a co-founder at ZEBEDEE and also co-founder with Des of MintGox. We basically do Bitcoin and gaming and Lightning and gaming, all the cool, fun stuff in Bitcoin.
I have so many questions for here in a little bit. I'm excited about this. Who are you passing it to, Chris?
We're going to pass it downwards to Michael.
Yes. This is a good day. I'm Michael Tidwell, Mike 21 everywhere if you Google that, like Twitter and stuff. So I'm Mike 21. This is the 21st happy hour. We're talking about Bitcoin 2021. So this is a very good day. It's a very good day.
Are you into
It'd be better if it was tomorrow because it'd be 21st.
I mean, there's some like big synchronicities happening right now.
I know. If only this happened tomorrow on the 21st, I would freak out. But yeah, I do infrastructure at ZEBEDEE. So a lot of the backend stuff and stuff with lightning nodes and just general infrastructure. So that's what I do at ZEBEDEE, and I'm drinking straight vodka that looks like water.
I knew you'd say that.
Look at that gulp.
Oh, that's strong.
You must be Russian.
Ooh. There you go. And I pass it popcorn JC.
All right. Hey guys, I'm JC. I basically just talk about Lightning all day. Joe's known me for a while, talking about Lightning all day. Yeah, happy to be here. I would be getting a drink, but the place I went to is full. So instead, I'll chill in my car. How about that?
What do you mean full? The bar said, like, go away, sir?
Well, I was going to sit on a patio because of the video, but the bar has spots, but I didn't think it'd be, be kind of weird to be the bar with the camera. I don't know.
You get drunk people like dive bombing you and stuff.
Yeah.
The better question is why did you think a patio would be a good idea?
Because it's a great idea. It's outside, it's a lot of lights, comfortable, and drinks, like delivery drinks. Why would you not want delivery drinks?
I like delivery drinks.
Trying to flex with that waitress bringing you a cocktail while you're on the podcast. That's what you're doing.
Hey man, that's a benefit.
You have your live stream up and be like, hey, I'm really important right here. I need to live stream inside this bar. Please give me some space and a cold beer.
I'm friends with Desiree Dickerson.
To pick up girls, it's like pretend to do a podcast and stuff, and that's like your angle to get people interested. Sure, someone's
good one. Yeah,
isn't that why we're all on a podcast right now? So
yeah. I'm happily married, so I'll put that there.
Little do they know, like Mike's my only friend. It just looks like I'm cool, but really it's got like Mike, and that's it.
I'm here for you, buddy.
JC, pass the torch, bro.
Yeah, to last but not least, or at least in the Zebedee crew, MintGox crew, Zez is here from.
Yeah, just do the intro for her. My goodness.
And what don't I do anymore? I sometimes question. No, I'm Desiree. I'm VP of Business Operations at Lightning Labs, so do a lot of everything over at Lightning Labs. I'm sure everybody's heard from me on that capacity. And then also started MintGox with these guys, which is a monthly was virtual Bitcoin esports tournament that we started before COVID kind of reared its ugly head. And yeah, we're taking it to Meet Space at Bitcoin 2021. We're like insanely pumped. There's going to be crazy amounts of games where you can stack sats over 1 Bitcoin in prizes. It's going to be absolutely insane. There's just going to be cool swag events. I'm going to be there, obviously, which is the highlight. Although the highlight of my conference, like my main goal on my conference bingo, is to find Clancy and meet her and steal her from you.
She will be there and she will be roaming. She has no responsibilities during the conference, so she will be free to float around and harass people and tell shitcoiners to go away. And I'm sure she'll get in a lot of trouble.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, no, I'm super pumped for the whole thing. Obviously, especially the esports thing. We have an awesome team here. A lot of us are here, so I think it's going to be wild. The entire conference is like a little overwhelming me right now with like how much there is to do. So
yeah, you're not going to be able to do everything, but hey, before we get into everything, hey, fellas in the studio, say what's up.
What up? What up? Hello. How's it going? I'm Will, and this is David. We are interns. We've been here at BTC for about 2 weeks now, but that feels like 2 years in this kind of fast-paced world, which is awesome.
It's a fun 2 weeks to jump in at the moment.
Yeah, no, I mean,
this is like I feel like I've been here for 90 years. He's like the true OG. Like,
well, every other job I've had, I always get in trouble for drinking on the job, and now I'm getting paid to drink on the job. It's amazing.
How many jobs have you had?
I'm just joking. I've never gotten in trouble for drinking on the job. Hypothetically, I would.
He's still looking for his first job, Des.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, Lightning Labs is hiring. And
this isn't a job interview, guys. Joke's on you.
Can you drink at Lightning Labs?
You can tell them what we're drinking. We're both drinking whatever we found in the office fridge.
Oh no, I actually put these in the office fridge.
Yours?
Mm-hmm.
Good shit.
Yeah.
They're a wicked tag team, aren't they?
Yeah.
These are awesome.
If you hire one Des, you have to hire both of them. They come in pairs. It's like stepbrothers.
They make sure they wear matching outfits every day though, because that would like be key.
Yeah.
No. It gets confusing if we wear matching outfits. We have to make sure that we. It's like when you have two twins
into one person.
They're like Dumb and Dumber guys.
I have an identical.
What's the other one's name?
I'm David.
David's on the left and Will's on the right.
And why does it say Nick?
Yeah.
Because Nick Can't Mine is
Yeah.
logged in on Zoom.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
David and Matt.
And I'm actually on CK's Zoom account. So we just share logins around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a job. I did a few jobs with my identical twin brother, so that was always good fun and to mess with people. Especially waiting is pretty fun as well.
What is fun?
That's what I did last summer.
Waiting, because like I would have an identical twin, and people say like, "How did you get here so fast? We just spoke to you a second ago, and you walked up, and all this kind of stuff." But they'd only think there's one of us, right? So.
That's awesome.
We have doppelgangers. We have synchronicity on numerology. We have the Dumb and Dumber in the studio. This is already one of the best live streams we've ever done.
Are you guys related at all? Or is it just coincidence you look quite similar?
No, we were friends all throughout college, though.
Can't hear you guys. I think you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
I'll hit the mic.
It doesn't matter.
First off, they're definitely not related. They don't even look similar, but I don't know like why.
Wait,
No, like maybe cousins or something.
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, we can.
Well,
Yeah,
then
no,
everyone.
we're not related. We've been friends like all through college though.
I don't think BTC knew that we were friends when they hired us, though.
They hired an entire friend group actually. Like there's 4 of us
Yeah,
who
that
were all
all
just
really
good
close,
friends
yeah.
at UA. None of us told each other that we were applying for this job because, nobody wanted to, have the awkward conversation of like, oh, one of us didn't get it. And so, yeah, there was like a 6-week period of time where we were all independently hanging out like almost every day and hiding from each other the fact that we were waiting to hear if we got this job. We all got this job, and then everyone at the office found out that we were like a friend group, and they just hired like basically a squad. So
What do the 2 others look like?
It's pretty similar.
pretty similar.
Pretty
Yeah,
similar.
we actually all look the same. Exactly.
I think they should have made you all do like a relay race or like some type of physical competition to like stake it out, like who's going to be the David that wins. Like
I don't think any
they all
of us
have
can
We're
the
gonna
same
do that
position.
at the end, Desiree.
Maybe that's the
No,
plan.
no.
It's like
Definitely
field
would've
day
gone
for
badly.
kindergarten.
I think if they had tried to have us do a physical competition, we all would have just been fired.
Yeah.
And then Will Heckman, who was a football quarterback and another intern, he would have been the only intern this summer.
That's true.
There's so many interns, I have no idea who they're even talking about. They just went to Alabama and they got a school bus and they said, "Get on, fellas," and they brought them up to Nashville.
Well, we keep kind of reproducing by mitosis. I don't
Yeah.
know. There was one of us at the beginning of the summer.
I gotta break it to you guys. Like my family is like a bunch of war eagles. So
There's a couple of those at the office.
So
Yeah.
actually, if you go to the bottom right of your screen, there's a red button that says leave.
guys, it's okay. I'm from Ohio. I'm
Okay.
just,
No skin in the game.
Yeah, no
man.
skin in the game.
Yeah.
Exactly.
but I have some beer, so I apologize.
All right, so
What's going
guys,
on?
gals, what happened in Bitcoin this week? I haven't been really plugged in. Can anyone bring me up to speed? Did anything big happen like yesterday morning specifically? At like between like 7 and 9 a.m.
Nothing.
I saw that
Yeah, business as usual.
Rocket Man was arguing with Boatman. So I call it.
Rocket Man and Boatman. Beautiful.
I think that's quite interesting, though. It's kind of like almost like their characters in a comic book. One is this futuristic guy with like rockets, and the other guy is this more traditional guy, and he's literally got like a boat behind him, which is like the kind of the opposite, not the opposite, but it's like the historical version of a rocket. So
All
it's
right.
like
So Elon and Sailor, Rocket Man and Boatman. Did you see Elon, or I'm sorry, Michael Saylor is getting his big Bitcoin sculpture put up in his new studio behind his desk?
he's doing a podcast or something, right? I saw like a big circular disc thing.
Big pod studio, yeah.
Yeah, I did see that.
I
It's
hate
almost
spending
as
so
good
much
as your
time.
flag.
I hate spending so much time on Elon, but I do think it's important to talk about because when you think about the way Saylor handles Elon as a billionaire, interacting with Elon, a billionaire, and the thoughtful responses that you see Saylor giving him, and then Elon just like brushing it off, dismissing the responses, putting stupid ass memes, and then the cyber hornets just like dunking on his ass. It makes me feel proud. But I mean, like, what is happening here? What the fuck is Elon's long plan here? Any thoughts?
I'm
Coming,
so
I have one.
tired of it. It's like why are we letting them steal the narrative? Like, why? Like, why do we care? Like, it's 2 rich dudes that are probably gonna like come out with some like Jeffrey Epstein type scandals in 10 years. Like, why are we letting them steal the narrative? This is about fucking Bitcoin and bringing Bitcoin to the next billion people, and it's not about these sad billionaires. Like, I'm so tired of it. I can't even watch it anymore. It's sad and pathetic. Like, cool if they want to be involved and be on board, but like the rest of it's distracting. Like, I'm tired of it. Like, let's just like not listen and build and make.
I think that's a good thing about Bitcoin, though. It's kind of it's a thing that it kills its heroes, or like heroes to some people, but it kind of has no loyalty. And we've kind of we've even seen like core developers, just people just like get thrown, well, not thrown under the bus, but there's no eternal love for these people. Like people like Gavin or Mike Hearn. Like if you kind of cross the wrong way, you just
You can even start back as far as Bitcoin doesn't really have any heroes per se historically. I mean, if you think about even Satoshi went out of the spotlight, and if you want to talk about someone who left on good graces, it's probably only Satoshi. Granted, that's a person. right?
Well,
Because every other leader, quote unquote, in Bitcoin eventually becomes a villain, right? You
yeah,
know?
I think if anybody gets like to up themselves, the community kind of rejects them, which is kind of nice, you know.
And,
Yeah.
yeah,
The
and
bigger thing,
You
like,
don't see that in other
about Bitcoin,
coins as much. But...
the bigger thing about Bitcoin and why Elon doesn't fit in is because, to the extent that there are people who are respected, they're respected because of what they know and what they do, and not because of like who they are or what they say. And Elon so far has just been a who, and memes. There's no substance there. There's nothing there that we haven't seen a million times before. If you want to be big in the Bitcoin space, or if you want people to respect you, you have to do something respectful. You have to show knowledge. You have to show people at least that you know what you're talking about or that you're thinking about things.
yeah, and Chris, to your point, you're talking about core developers. You could even think of like GMAX kind of stepped back a little bit too, even I think, as like a strategy thing, and also like probably not only self-preservation and strategy, but like that's probably like the thing to do, right? Like instead of being like, it's almost like presidents have like a term limit, and it's like Gavin Andreessen was like kind of forced into that against his will.
Yeah, kind of like in a way, Bitcoin doesn't really want any
long-term leaders, right? It's like it's almost like there's a cycle. It's like once you're a leader for like a couple of years, like, all right, Roger, you're good now. You've been here for 3 years. You can kind of sit back now. Okay, Gavin Andreessen. Okay, GMAX. Okay, probably I guess probably in 3 years from now, Pierre Woolley might be like, hey, okay, I want to take a step back. I don't know.
Well, that would be a healthy thing, but
speaking of like stepping up and stepping back, I mean, you're kind of talking about specifically maybe some of the bad guys. But I kind of like, I haven't been in probably as long as some of you guys, but I've seen an outflow of kind of old heads and an inflow of new heads. So if I think of like, I'm just gonna throw some names out there, you might roll your eyes, but like Tour de Meester, he took a sabbatical, if you will. He kind of stepped back and said he was ready for the next wave of people to kind of carry the torch. And then like even Pierre Richard, he changed his name off his handle. I think that like that's a signal that he's stepping back. You haven't heard as much from like Goldstein. But I mean, I can't name a bunch of like developers who have stepped out of the spotlight, but it kind of feels like after you do your public service, like on the front line fighting for Bitcoin, then you're like, okay, let me relax and let the next gen kind of take it.
It's like doing your military service in South Korea, right? You have to do what, 2 years, 4 years? What is it?
Yeah, but I mean, I think it's also about like being part of the public narrative. I think people like are like all for it, and like it gets exhausting, like being like a public face of Bitcoin, and like I mean, like Pierre Rochard, like I mean, he's still deep at work behind the scenes, right? He's just not like super active and talkative on Twitter. I mean, he's like now like like really like heads down, focused on the work. So I think like a lot of the people who like become like these faces and like these huge public advocates like do their work, like they reach that kind of pinnacle, and then like they step back and are like, hey, cool, like someone else take that torch, like I'm gonna like focus on the work and like put in like the sweat equity rather than just like being the talking head on on Twitter.
Yeah, I think like a lot of developers just like avoid that from the beginning, probably because they're developers and not particularly interested in being a personality. But I have noticed that I think was it like Andrew Polstra doesn't even have a Twitter. He probably does have a Twitter, but he doesn't have a public one, right? And then like Peter Waller will never. He's very hard. I think he's only ever been on one podcast, and I think they had to bend his leg to get him on that. So these kind of people just, they just aren't bothered about the drama and stuff. They just, a lot of them like bear markets for this reason, right? I've heard a lot of core devs are kind of like, they're happy when a bear market comes, and as a developer, I feel the same way because it gets rid of a lot of the noise, a lot of the kind of weak hands, and a lot of the people who were just there for kind of show and and people can focus on building, which I don't think you see that so much in other coins. I think that's something that's unique to Bitcoin, where like maybe I'm wrong, but like when the Bitcoin price dips, everyone says kind of buy the dip or I'm holding, but you don't really see that behavior so much in other coins. And I think it's really the Bitcoin culture is, I think that's unique to the culture, that it doesn't like to have these heroes. It doesn't particularly, mind when things are slow or there's a bear market. at least for the the core believers, there's a layer of kind of obviously a layer of people who just want the price go up all the time and want to do a podcast and want to like interview Paris Hilton and all this kind of thing. But I think it's got a strong core that keeps it solid.
Did y'all see that survey that was done out of Australia, where
Yes.
50+% of people think that Elon Musk started Bitcoin?
I saw that news on Bitcoin.com, so
Yeah, about
I've
half
taken
of
it
the
with a pinch of
people-
salt.
About half the people in Australia don't believe that Bitcoin has a like hard cap on the number of coins that will eventually be in
Sure.
circulation. More than half of them believe that Elon Musk is the creator of Bitcoin. So I think a big take that I have is there's a certain point where we just shouldn't be dignifying things with a response. Like I saw so much content on Twitter that was like, oh, sign this petition to get Elon Musk to sell his Bitcoin. Like, fuck that. Like the whole point is that we don't care what any individual actor does. Like if institutions come in and buy Bitcoin, awesome, great. Like they're making a smart play. If institutions come in and shit on Bitcoin, they can go fuck themselves because they're gonna get left behind. And I think there's like clearly a need for because like we all get it on this call, but the broader public and in the interest of like hyper Bitcoinization, I think there's so much that we need to do to reaffirm like the values that our community has, that the Bitcoin community has, and a huge part of that is just ignoring it. Like let the guy talk. Everyone who's going to listen to Elon Musk has already left. I don't think he's going to have any more influence than he's already had. Every tweet, his influence decreases. I think we just need to kind of ignore it, move on, and focus on the core philosophy behind the coin.
Dave gets a raise.
Onto shit talk though.
One of the good things I think, a lot of guys, even when they do like figure out about Bitcoin, even in 2017 or whatever, they just think. I almost feel like a lot of guys thought that Bitcoin basically was the same thing as like Doge is now. Back in 2017, like, oh, here's this thing. I don't know what it is, but I think it's gonna make me rich. So I'm gonna buy a bunch of it real quick and then dump it in like a week. And I talked to one of those guys today who's buying Dogecoin, and he was upset because he put in $20 and he only made $1,000. And he said, "Man, I thought I was going to make a lot more. This is kind of stupid." And I'm like, "You made like 20x or 50x." He's like, "Yeah, but it's only like $1,000." These are like the people that like he's already dumped. Like, I don't necessarily even want to convince him to buy Bitcoin. What am I going to tell that guy? He's looking for like he's just looking for a scam basically.
I would like to address what David said earlier. I mean, like, Australia, I mean, you can't even really prove that it's a real place. So, I mean, I have a really hard time even taking that survey.
Did live there for a few years.
Wait, Joe, can you
Allegedly.
hear me now?
I can hear you.
All right. Was there a mic problem?
You were just very low volume.
All right.
I think you might be just soft spoken.
All right.
One of the prereqs
It's
for
low
interns.
energy in the studio, I guess.
I like the idea that Antarctica. I've never seen Antarctica or Australia. They both start with A's, and they're both near the south. They might not even exist. Like, we talk about trust. Don't trust, verify, and all this stuff. But I highly doubt any one of us have been to Antarctica, Australia, various countries. And
I doubt
your
they do.
point to know that these countries actually exist is valid.
I'm pretty
Well,
sure I lived in
until-
Australia, but to be fair, I got in like a plane, a metal box, and I walked out somewhere. I never actually traversed it
go.
there. But the stars were different. The stars were all upside down, which made me think I was at the bottom of a globe, and before I was on the top of a globe.
I don't know. Until North Dakota can sign on the blockchain, I'm just not going to believe that it exists.
That's a good point. How do we even know anything is real without a blockchain?
This circles back to Elon's simulation theory, right?
What's that theory?
I don't know. Everything's a simulation.
Oh,
it's
a simulation, yeah.
It's a big psyop. Australia is a psyop. That's what Clancy's saying in chat.
Well, the story I heard about
I believe
Elon
you,
was that
yeah.
he was sitting down with some oil execs, and they were complaining about his market manipulation, whatever. And he was like, "Well, there's a 50% chance we live in the simulation," and they were like, "Okay, but we're not talking about that right now."
Yeah. I think like I've heard from other like CEOs that like Elon is very special with his kind of attitude and behavior, and it's I think he's just probably on the spectrum and then became the richest man in the world. Not a good combination of things to have, really. You're going to do something erratic. Like, like rock stars go completely sane when they become rich and famous. So think of like it can happen to tech billionaires as well, I'm sure.
Well, I think we're seeing that with his influence to pump and dump, crypto like Dogecoin, right? I would say I don't know what percentage of the Doge hype was Elon, but I'm guessing a large percent was that. And the modern, crazy equivalent of, of a I guess you could say a special guy that's rich and has a lot of influences is what we saw with Doge, right?
I think Doge was also a fact of like the money printing and the pandemic. Like basically, I think in like the public conscious, money is kind of worth nothing now. And when money is worth nothing, then sure, a Dogecoin could be worth $1 billion or something. It's like Alice in Wonderland, like before money was something you earned and then you put in like a bank savings account and you got 10% and it was valuable. You wanted like this guy wrote on Twitter the other day, he's going to get a second job so he can stack more sats. And I thought, isn't that what people did with bank accounts before? I'm going to get that second job. I'll put it in my savings account. But that doesn't exist with money now. So I think that's a lot to do with Doge. And of course, Elon pumping it and giving it some sort of like, SpaceX are going to make it the currency of Mars and it's going to be worth $1 gazillion or whatever. Probably,
I think it's like that. I also think it's on the tailwind of like the GameStop stuff. I think everybody was like, oh, we missed out on like the whole GameStop wave, and now Elon's on this too, so it's like, okay, this is my chance. Like this is my chance to make my million, and then it's just like a freaking disaster.
One, it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I feel like the same people who bought Dogecoin are definitely the GME AMC fellas.
And it's not just them, though.
Or at least a subset or superset, I don't know.
Like, my great aunt is like 72 years old and lost money on Dogecoin, doesn't even know what cryptocurrency is, and texted me and said, oh yeah, isn't Elon Musk the smartest guy in the world? Like, I just saw his Twitter and I trusted him. Like, there are real people who aren't even just like degenerate gamblers who put a ton of faith in this guy because he's heralded as a genius of our times. Like, it's not just GameStop, Wall Street bets. I mean, it's like old people who barely know how the internet works and just trust him because he's smart. Like, it's really
there you go. It's a superset. The superset is hype, genius worship, and then within that there is Wall Street bets and Elon Musk and other things.
How do we market to these people? I've got something to sell. I want to be able to target them very good.
Satoshi.
Oh yeah, I know. If you're selling some whatever, if you're selling like bridges in Antarctica, great crowd. But I don't even want to chill Bitcoin to them because like I don't even want you guys can like keep gambling or whatever. I almost don't even value that part of the market.
Yeah, I think we need to sell them Satcoin, just tell them, look, you can buy 2,500 for $1. It tracks 1-to-1 with 40+% of the crypto market. If you feel like you got in on Bitcoin too late, just buy Satoshi coin. I mean, these people don't know. Yes. Like they want these exponential gains, and they think because they can't buy a single Bitcoin, they just need to go somewhere else, and then they retroactively justify that feeling.
I just tell those people to go to the casino just down the road.
But to be honest, the other cool part about the Satoshi coin that's coming out, I heard if you get 100 million of them, you can actually trade those in for Bitcoins.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah.
Kind of stupid though, because like, what if they become more valuable than the Bitcoin? Then
then you can trade them in for 2 Bitcoins. I heard. It gets cool. It's like you trade in your Satoshis for more Bitcoins, and it's.
What would 200?
Dude, you wouldn't understand. It's blockchain, bro. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
We have non-Bitcoin people getting sats through games at MintGox and ZEBEDEE, and like they didn't realize it was Bitcoin, but they're super excited about stash. It's like, oh, I love getting all this stash. They're calling it stash because they like misread stats wrong. So it's
all right. So Chris, let's get into ZEBEDEE and MintGox.
Yes.
For people who don't know, how are the two kind of companies related? And give us the elevator pitch, because I'm jacked about it. I'm not allowed to play video games because I have an addictive personality. But I'm super excited about what you guys are doing.
Yeah. Well, so ZEBEDEE is a company I co-founded along with Simon Cowell and Andre Nevis. And we all basically had like a history of kind of Bitcoin dev. So I think I made my first Bitcoin game in like 2013, 14. And I was just like doing Bitcoin gaming for a while, went through the whole kind of scaling issue, the scaling debate, kind of, even experimented with tokens and stuff. But then like like my original games, they weren't really working because of the scaling issue, but I knew that like the Lightning Network was on the horizon. So I kind of like held my breath and waited for the Lightning Network to come into realization. And around about the time it did, it was actually the Bitcoin 2019 conference. I entered in San Francisco. I entered the Lightning Gaming Hackathon, and I made some like sample Lightning games. One was like a Street Fighter game where you basically fight the other person, but each punch is a sat, so the wallet kind of streams sats as you fight. And luckily enough to win that competition, and at that conference I met up with Simon, who was originally from Bitstamp, and he was like looking to kind of, basically he was very bullish on Lightning, and he saw gaming as the a great way to showcase Lightning and to onboard people. And we spoke to Andre, so we basically decided that we were all aligned to make a Lightning gaming company. And ZEBEDEE was the name of a character from a kids TV show that I think Simon watched with his kids. So we just ran with that name, and we incorporated, I think we kind of started during the time of the Lightning conference, which I think was also 2019. Yeah, and we basically, our mission is to bring Lightning to gaming. We're more of an API and SDK company originally. We basically make tools for other game developers to add Lightning into their games. However, our main product at the moment is a product called Infuse, where we add Bitcoin to existing games. So at the moment we have 24-hour servers where you can jump in and play Counter-Strike Global Offensive, CSGO, which is like a massive game. It has like something like 20 million monthly active users. It's one of like the pillars of esports, but you can now play that game free and get Bitcoin, so that's awesome. And where MintGox ties into this is just before the pandemic, we had all this kind of cool Lightning gaming stuff planned for conferences that we were going to, and Desiree was helping out with them. I think it was the Magical Crypto Conference. We were going to do something big, but then due to the pandemic, all the conferences obviously got cancelled. So we decided, well, why don't we just make an online conference? Like gaming is online already, and Bitcoin is online. So we threw together a kind of like rushed esports conference called MintGox, and we've been doing it every month and growing ever since. It's basically for about 2 hours. You just go to our Twitch, and we have a bunch of games that you can play in a bunch of tournaments where you can play games, earn sats. You can play Counter-Strike, you can play Bitcoin Rally, which is a Mario Kart style game with sats. We've got a bunch of other sats coming. And yeah, that's kind of that's what we do.
So is the strategy to build original games and then also be able to plug sats, if you will, or Lightning into existing games?
No, I kind of made a decision early on because I've been like in the Bitcoin, as I say, blockchain gaming space for a while, and also the gaming space. I just know how hard it is to make a game, and all these games came out like Block Wars, Block Fighters, like Crypto, like name them, they all come out. But it's very, very hard to get traction because gaming is so competitive, and now and then you get like an odd fluke will be famous, like Among Us or something from an indie studio. But to really have a killer game that gets out there, you really need a proper gaming studio to make it. So our main mission is to actually partner with real gaming studios who are interested in like Bitcoin and kind of work with them, and they'll make the showcase game. However, having said that, to get the ball rolling, I have made some sample games, which are full games. So one is this Mario Kart game, and the other, we have a Smash Brothers game that's coming out soon. But
so how did like the Counter-Strike integration happen?
Well, that was kind of an interesting story. So yeah, we wanted more games to play at MintGox because obviously there aren't that many Bitcoin games out there. So I made like a few games, but we wanted more. And speaking to one of our investors, he actually said, well, Quake, kind of old first-person shooter game, I think one of the first with Doom, is open source, he said. So why don't you just kind of download Quake and add Bitcoin to it? So I kind of looked at it, and it was open source, but it wasn't 100% open source. So like the engine was open source, but none of the characters and like the UI and the assets, they weren't open source. So I looked at, there was like a third party kind of community that had made like an open source version of Quake, not called Quake, but something very similar. And they had a forum, but basically this was going to be like a game that was hopefully going to be easy to add Bitcoin in, and it was a game that kind of works and that was online. So I went on the forum and I was talking to the guy, how can I tweak this game? How can I, code in it? And the guy said to me, the moderator of the forum said, he said, you don't want to put crypto into this game, do you? I was like, no. I was like, and he's like, well, don't do it because I'll kick you off the forum. And then I looked and the admin was like completely anti-Bitcoin. He hated Bitcoin. And like the post was like, if you're interested in putting Bitcoin or crypto into this, you're not welcome here. I guess a lot of like crypto coins had wanted to do that. So I told him, I said, no, I don't want to put Bitcoin into this game. I just want to know what the player scores are so we can reward them in like swag. And he said, oh, well, if you're going to do it that way, then why don't you don't have to alter the game at all. You can just kind of like get information from the game server. And when he said that, I realized that, well, we could actually do that with something like Counter-Strike. So Counter-Strike lets you run a dedicated server. So you can run a server and people can join your server and play. And once I realized that, it was, well, we could kind of make a nice app that kind of is a companion with Counter-Strike. And this app is called Infuse, which basically when you play the game and say that you shoot somebody, the app knows you shot them. So it can know that it can give you a Bitcoin or deduct a Bitcoin. And and the beauty of it was that we could actually use the actual Counter-Strike from Steam. Like somebody could just go to Steam, download Counter-Strike, it's free. You don't have to have any mod or anything like that. You just play it, you download this other app Infuse, which is like a widget that sits on top of it. And you can just basically, stack stats playing Counter-Strike. And one last thing, the actual name Infuse actually came from this bottle of rum here. I was like thinking of a name for it, and this just says Infusion. So I was looking at that. That's where the name Infuse came from. If people want to know.
Long night, sitting
yeah.
around, cocktails flowing.
Oh yeah.
Back
Actually,
of
I
the
actually
napkin.
didn't know that, Chris. That
The Quake thing, yeah.
no, the name.
Oh no.
origin.
Oh, the name. No. Oh, there you go. I don't like to admit about my drinking problems publicly, so probably why.
No, well, they're infused problems now.
There you go. But like the whole thing about Infuse is like, if it works, it works. There's there's a bunch of games out there that people love to play. And if we can just make those games like even more fun by adding stats to it, why not? Why reinvent the wheel and try to make like a CSGO copy that's not going to be as good? So yeah, Infuse, it started off with CSGO, but
do like server admins keep the server topped up with like sats, or like how does that work?
Yeah, so we actually have a cool team of admins and moderators. So we have people who are moderators in the server all the time, and they're just making sure everyone plays fair and like no one's kind of being a dick. But yeah, ZEBEDEE at the moment, we have two types of server. So one type of server is you pay to enter. So you'll pay like 500 sats or 100 sats or 1,000 sats depending on the tier, and then you can lose stats if you're not very good, but you can win stats if you're awesome. And we have sponsored servers as well, where we just have a sponsor who gives us some Bitcoin and people can play for free, right? So
yeah,
we have both. So
very cool. Well, I am probably the worst first-person shooter in the like history of the world. I'm curious, does ZEBEDEE and company, do you guys have like a stack rank of who's the best? Is there like a running tally? Like on these games, there's constantly like a global like top 10 list. Are you guys always like keeping up with that sort of stat?
Well, internally, we have like the best player in our team, who is one of our engineers, and we thought that he was the best until we opened it up, and we actually got like semi-professional people playing CS:GO and Infuse now, and they're just insane. But what's interesting is I think for Bitcoin 2021, I'll plug this, we're actually having a bunch of Bitcoin companies who are making CS:GO teams, and they're going to play each other. So we'll find out who the best kind of Bitcoin company is at CS:GO. So I think we got like a BTC Pay are going to play. Maybe I'm not meant to mention all of them, so maybe I should stop there. But we've got some cool companies who are going to jump in and play. So definitely.
I'm curious. I want to know more details about B21. The conference team and Bitcoin Magazine, we function as close as we can. We're like cousins. We don't get all the details from mom and dad.
But
You know what I'm saying? Like, so we don't know everything that's happening, but we know a lot of details. But spill the beans for the guys on the call here and
Well, I
everyone
think
tuned in.
Desiree is really doing all the hard work organizing this for MintGox. So I'll just kind of say that MintGox and ZEBEDEE are separate.
Yeah.
But ZEBEDEE kind of powers MintGox, if that makes sense. But MintGox is not a company at the moment. MintGox is like an open collaboration between ZEBEDEE, Desiree, Jack from Thunder Games. But Desiree is really stepping up and doing all the awesome hard work of organizing the MintGox esports arena and the gaming center at Bitcoin 2021. So I'll hand over to her. She can
Yeah,
probably
if
explain better
she's
than I
there,
can.
that'd be great. If not, I do have
Oh,
some more
if
questions.
she drops
'cause,
off.
yeah, maybe so. But I'm curious. So, like,
I
regarding
can answer.
ZEBEDEE itself, I would love to hear like, so like, would it be as simple as I know like some other games off the top of my head? My little girl loves Minecraft, and I know you can run a Minecraft server. I mean, like, and then I know like I used to play Warcraft back in the day. That's something you can run your own server. Are these the type of games, or is it pretty much any? You would have to be a game where you can run your own server. That's
Pretty
one of the
much.
strategies to be able to plug into, or is there also strategy for you guys to actually go and pursue these studios? Is that part of like the long-term vision, is to like be a plug-in with them on the back end?
Yeah, well, the dedicated server route is the best one because we don't have to ask permission, right? You know, we can just choose
Right.
a game like Minecraft and do it. So yeah, at the moment we've got Counter-Strike. We have other games that are short listed, but they take a bit of time to do them well because we have to think exactly how stats work in the game, and we need to kind of test it out, and we, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Minecraft is definitely a contender. But ultimately, yeah, this, our roadmap is definitely to kind of talk to other like game studios and get permission. So for example, if Epic Games want to add it into Fortnite, that would be awesome, and we're not going to say no, right? But
Yeah,
at
for
the
sure.
moment, but at the moment, we're definitely going to plan on infusing other dedicated server games, but we do have some talks in the works for other game studios that we can hopefully infuse as well, but I can't say too much.
Hey, I'd just like to say if the chat can think of any creative way to add Bitcoin to Minecraft, let us know. Because if it's, I think that's the hardest part with Minecraft is there's obviously a lot of people that play Minecraft, but it's like what does it look like to actually integrate Bitcoin into Minecraft? And if someone has a good idea, post in the chat and read it off. I'd be interested to hear.
Bitcoin has been integrated into Minecraft for a long. I remember like way back in like 2014, there were like Bitcoin Minecraft servers, but they never really took off. A lot of that I think is just because we didn't have Lightning, But yeah, I think it's a little bit more tricky with Minecraft because it's a bit more complex. Where CS:GO is a bit more, I think, simple to understand how it would work.
And the UX has gotten a lot better too since then. Thankfully, in part because of ZEBEDEE. I mean, our UX is amazing. The guys that are using the ZEBEDEE wallet and playing with Infuse, like it's very intuitive. They don't even understand the depth of the tech that they're interfacing with, and that's the point. And that's totally different from the 2014.
Yeah, I should mention that ZEBEDEE has its own Lightning wallet, which is really focused at gamers, and it has it's kind of like Cash App mixed with Discord, that kind of vibe, but it's really designed to be like an easy gaming wallet. And we got like a lot of cool stuff planned, like streaming payments between games, and we kind of want to get rid of QR codes because they're not really nice in games, So we're definitely kind of focused on that.
I was talking to CK earlier today, and we were talking about how it's like actually more difficult to like download Steam and like actually get started playing CS:GO than it is like the ZEBEDEE infuse part is like the easiest part of that entire process. So like, bravo guys, like the UX is like great.
Steam UX is very bad. It's quite surprising that they haven't really, I guess like Epic Game Stores are trying to disrupt them in a way, but yeah, they're really quite behind on that. But weird.
I do kind of appreciate how old it is though, because it's just so easy to run. Whereas you run a lot of the newer launchers, and they feel so, I don't know, they feel so bloated and like there's so much going on.
True. Yeah.
The UX is bad though. It looks like it's from 1998.
Oh, definitely.
Des, you stepped away for a second. We were wanting to get some more details. I know that it's kind of tight-lipped on what's happening with the esports tournament with MintGox at B21, but can you give us like a high-level pitch? I'd love to like get some details, and I would love for you to like spill the beans on something.
All right. Yeah, no, sorry, my mom called. So, Had to step away quickly. Yeah, so I mean, lots of stuff going on. There is some stuff that's still kind of in the works.
So we're gonna have a tournament. We know that.
Okay, so there is going to be the Bitcoin Rally, which is like basically the better version of Mario Kart because Bitcoin is baked in. We're doing the tournament final in person on, I believe, Saturday. And there's going to be a half a Bitcoin in prizes for that event specifically. And then there's going to be another half of Bitcoin kind of dispersed throughout a bunch of CS:GO tournaments. So it will be a like specific CS:GO tournament for people who are in person and come to the arena and kind of get involved and start playing. So we'll host one for people in person. There will be one for the online community. So folks who want to participate virtually, this whole entire thing is going to be streamed and you can get involved, jump in some servers, and we will also host like a higher stakes tournament for folks for folks who are joining virtually. And then we'll do one for mods, and then also in person we are hosting like I don't know what to call it, but it would be like more of like a celebrity longer form tournament. So we're gonna have like Bitcoin and Lightning company teams competing. So we have like a Lightning Labs team, which is hilariously going to be horrible because we're all horrible at CS:GO. Fold has a team, BTC Pay, Foundational Devices. There's a few others, so that there will be a tournament for that as well. So also a celebrity appearance, and then we have some like really amazing swag. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gooder sunglasses. I keep trying to like shill Chris on them, but he tells me that he never sees the sun. So, but they have cool gaming glasses, which like have the blue light blockers, and we'll be giving out those. And Gamer Goo is confirmed to be there with samples. So if you have like sweaty palms, we'll have Gamer Goo for you. So just a ton of time going on. There's going to be a Lightning Arcade. So I think Ben Arc is going to be showcasing his Lightning Arcade game. So super retro, very cool. And then we'll also be doing one of my favorite games, which is Saratobi. So Chris, I don't think you like talked about Saratobi, but Chris has this like super addicting mobile game where you basically are this little monkey and you spin around and then you like try and launch yourself and you can collect coins and bananas and like all of this stuff. It's like terribly addicting. So we'll be hosting a tournament for that, as well as Jack Everett's Thunder Games, his two mobile games, which is Bitcoin Bounce and Turbo 84. We'll be hosting a tournament for those. And then also Satoshi's Games will be joining us and doing their in-person Light Night tournament final at the event as well. And then also doing some talks and some stuff. I mean, it is a jam-packed.
Yeah, this sounds massive. I mean, it's a mini conference within itself, it sounds like.
It's insane.
Yeah, definitely. And it's all Lightning, which is the part that I love the most. I mean, I love, is Ben Arc actually going to be there in person, Des, do you know?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like if he can ship his arcades to the US, like, couldn't he have just like hopped in one? I really hope that he's going to make it, but we'll see.
That's so true. He's so badass.
So are attendees just going to be able to walk up and play? I'm sure there'll be a line, but or do you have to be on a proper team?
No. You can come and play. Oh,
yeah,
ahead.
we have free play. We have free play for CS:GO, and we also have free play for Bitcoin Rally. So you can basically like play Mario Kart with like 4 of your friends and just kind of like earn some stats on that. And yeah, so
how many rigs are y'all bringing? Because this sounds like a lot of PCs.
Yeah, we got like more than 10 PCs, maybe like 15 or something. But yeah, hopefully, there might be a bit of a queue. So I would say get there early to stack the most sets.
Some alpha for the people that are watching this. There's going to be a lot of opportunities at the conference and even from remote if you join our Discord. We're giving a lot of Bitcoin away in these games, a lot of Bitcoin. We only have 2 days to give away a tremendous amount of Bitcoin. So these are going to be some fun games, especially like Stack and Says. Don't be, what's going to be about at the conference is going to be, you're going to have a hard time getting in.
Yeah,
Conference pays for itself if you go to the ZEBEDEE or MintGox, stuff.
Yeah, and if people don't come and win the Bitcoin, I'm taking it and I'm going to like drink myself to sleep. after all of this is over.
Well, be in Miami, so a lot of
The after party, you'll have plenty of chances to have a cold drink.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to like set some sort of record for Lightning transactions. Like when we do MintGox monthly, in 2 hours we do like 10 to 20,000 Lightning transactions. So, and we've got like a whole Bitcoin to give away this time. It's just going to be insane. So I think we're going to really test the Lightning network. Let's say that.
definitely
Some channels open.
faith in Tidwell's skill there. He's been
Yeah, well, kudos to Tidwell. He kind of makes sure everything runs smoothly.
some awesome infrastructure that he's been working on.
If it breaks, it's JC's fault.
It's
If
my
it
fault.
works, I'll take credit.
It's my fault if it breaks because I'm always distracting Tidwell when he's trying to work and get him to play video games with me.
Someone's got to do it. So are y'all how early is the team getting in? I mean, it sounds like a heroic effort to stand all this up.
Well, Hala, I love Miami, so I will be there on the 31st. So if folks are in South Beach and want to pre-party, hit me up. But yeah, I'm getting there early. Just kidding. I'm going to be in family vacation the week before, possibly. I might skip, but in Redneck Riviera, but 31st, Miami.
I would like to say, so I'm getting there early too. If you are going to be early, like a few days early in front of the conference, there is a Bitcoin Socratic meetup a few days before the conference. If you're interested, yeah.
And it's full.
Oh, I would still go. Fuck it. It's Miami. Nothing is full in Miami.
Are you talking about the seminars full or Miami's full?
No, BitDevs is full.
Yeah,
Yes.
I would still go.
Yeah,
But that's me, you know.
Let me in, damn it.
Yeah.
For those watching, go to b.tc/conference/satellite-events. We've got, I think, like 20 plus satellite events happening. So, of course, we want you to come to the conference. But there's going to be a ton of other things happening from friends and family members here, friends in the industry.
A lot of beer and pizza.
Yep, exactly.
Hello. You got a co-host now.
Yeah.
Best behavior here. All right. So is there any like you said a whole Bitcoin's going to be given out over 2 days, and you said you usually give out how much on a regular like MintGox tournament?
MintGox we normally do, we have 10 million sats around, and we try to give that out over about 2 to 3 hours. So this is a big step up.
Okay. It sounds like bigger rewards.
Yeah, oh yeah, we're just gonna like basically up the rewards, you know, like 10x everything. It's just gonna be insane, literally. Just like I said, like you'll probably pay off your ticket.
Just no speed at the arcade.
Bitcoin over the timestamp we have for the free play. It's kind of, you get some big numbers. It's like, okay.
Yeah, well, you know, it's all good.
All right, I've been totally distracted. I had a 4-year-old chirping him in my ear. All right, so guys, gals, let's move to another topic here. I'm so jacked. Did you see the big news? What the heck happened with BlockFi?
Oh man, free Bitcoin.
I like how they said, don't worry. Like, I like how they said, instead of sending out this shit, we accidentally sent out Bitcoin. I'm just like imagining like, hey, we meant to send out $1,000, but we accidentally sent out 1,000 Bitcoin. Like
they put University of Alabama interns in charge of payments.
It doesn't even make any sense how that mistake could be
The
made.
intern was like, wait a minute, dollars aren't the same thing as Bitcoins?
I just learned about that last week, actually. Part of the
I'd like to see
process.
the process, like the human behind this error at some point. Who, I don't know. It's even amazes me that they would have a drop-down box that says Bitcoins next to one that says dollars, where you can just type 700 and send.
Yeah, it's who knows what actually, but the funny part is like, don't worry, we've recovered most of the Bitcoin. And I'm just wondering if they were like, hey, please send us back that Bitcoin we just sent. And some people are just like ignoring that message.
I think like legally, because it's like a centralized wallet, basically, I think legally, like you kind of have to give it back. Otherwise you can be in a lot of legal trouble. I think there was something about that.
But
so.
legally, what happens to you if you legitimately, and not even like by accident, but legitimately lose those Bitcoin or something,
then
or
you'd
those
be
Bitcoin went to a wallet that you don't control or something?
You'd be liable for it. I mean, it'd be really hard to prove that you weren't.
I would love to see a court case where someone's like, look, I don't own these Bitcoin. I literally don't own them. Like, what do
Yeah, or
you?
if you die like, in a boating accident, like.
Exactly. Yeah. I
can't even
accidentally set them to
imagine.
a burn address or something. But
Yeah, like what if the address was literally like some like counterparty burn address where it was like, ha 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 ha, you BlockFi sucks. It was the address. And
I
it's
mean,
like,
they'd have a case to sue. They wouldn't make any money, but they'd have a case to sue you for the value of what you negligently destroyed.
but they destroyed it. You didn't destroy it. They destroyed it by sending it to the burn address.
Look, I was in Dragon's Den, which is like a Mumble server, a chat server, and Shinobi or someone said that they know someone who got some and they sent it to BitMEX and they got liquidated. And they're going to be fucked. They're definitely, like Chris was saying, they're definitely going to be liable for that Bitcoin.
yeah, well, that's kind of scary in a way, because like say that they sent it to you and you legitimately made a mistake because you knew to Bitcoin or something, or like you basically had like some sort of ransomware on your computer and it like stole the Bitcoin from you or something, right? Like, yeah, it's kind of
I'd like to watch them try.
I was in college once and I went to the ATM super late night and the bank had put like $5,000 extra in my bank account. And I wish I could tell you that I like tried to take it out. I was terrified. I was like, what did I fuck up? Was I like, am I like on the receiving end of some kind of hack? I didn't do that. I was terrified. And the next day it was adjusted properly. But I feel like it's one of those scenarios. If I'd taken it out, I feel like the bank would have stuck it to my ass.
a bit
The
of
difference
common
is
sense,
it's
right?
the difference is it's a centralized protocol versus a decentralized one that's permissionless. So I feel like we haven't even begun to see people push the boundaries of permissionless, decentralized kind of protocols. So, like I said, I want to see them try. I want to see like what happens when someone just says no, or someone says no, I lost it, and just
like called negligence, and it's well covered. It's something that happens all the time.
Yeah, but negligence for who?
For you, they could argue that you shouldn't have lost it.
Then you can countersue for negligence.
I feel like there's something probably in the
Depends how much you stole. Did you steal?
But this is the idea of like the idea that they sent it to like an address, and let's say you never touch that address, and you'll just die. You'll just be like, it's just funny. I'm just going to say I don't own that address, or I don't own the private key of that address. So it's just like.
You also couldn't be sued for negligence if you lost the Bitcoin. I mean, negligence is a legal term, and one of the standards for meeting negligence is that you have a duty to care, right? Like, the company itself could be negligent because it had a duty to not fuck up and lose Bitcoin. But as a private citizen, you don't have a duty to not accidentally lose Bitcoin. Like, you could not be liable for negligence in that instance.
But okay, I'm sure there's precedent for this, like in traditional finance. Like if Joe would have taken out that $5,000 and like went to the strip club and gone nuts, like I'm sure there's some type of terms of service that like, I mean, this is happening.
Pretty sure the bank is safe.
Yeah.
The bank is right.
I'm sure these people.
But I don't think the precedent
is.
I don't think the precedence is relatable though, because what we're talking about isn't someone getting $5,000 worth of Bitcoin. It's them burning the Bitcoin to address and then you just not touching it. It's like I would imagine those people don't have to give it back. They could just say I don't have it.
The way the court doesn't care if you have it or not. The way they look at it is whose responsibility was it? Should you who lost the money? Did they lose the money or did you lose the money?
The company, yeah. And I think you can always argue that the company that sent it lost it, right?
I'm pretty sure when you sign up for BlockFi, there's probably a thing you agreed to in the terms and conditions that it says something like, if you got more Bitcoin than you expected and you sent it somewhere, then that's your fault. You should have
No, I'm saying you never send it. I'm saying you literally just keep it there. You never send it.
Wait, do we know what he's trying to steal the money?
But it it got sent to the centralized address. Like I think it was still in BlockFi. I think you would have had to withdraw it. Maybe I'm wrong here, but
What? There's no way, because if that happened, they wouldn't ask for permission to take it back.
no, I think maybe some people withdrew it out, right? That's what
Yes,
I assumed.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
then
they've done
that
the active step. But say that,
Oh,
but hypothetically, maybe say that BlockFi from the start sent it to like your address that you like put in BlockFi that's your like non-custodial address, and that could technically happen legally, and that would be an interesting precedent.
well, I guess
Like
this is
if you
different than-
accidentally put the wrong address into BlockFi, like you
Yeah.
accidentally put a burned address into there, and they
yeah,
sent you.
this is different than what I'm talking about, though, because I think you're right, Chris. Like they got credited temporarily with Bitcoin and then they withdrew. Yeah, you're right. So this is a bit different than what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
they've done like
More relatable, I guess, to the ATM giving you $5,000, like what you described.
I think that happened in Australia when I was living there. Like I think some guy, like his ATM said he had like $100 million randomly, you know. Obviously he probably couldn't withdraw that from the ATM anyway, because it'd probably throw an error. But this
Didn't
kind of
they-
happens.
Didn't they get hacked a year ago too? BlockFi?
I don't remember that, but it's possible.
I thought they had a customer database leak or something. It was like a
Oh,
marketing
something like that.
database.
If it's not a Bitcoin hack, JC doesn't know about it.
He doesn't care about
But-
KYC information.
I think there's lots of these little. I mean, like BTC Pay had an issue, didn't they? Where they had like a bug with. I think it was a Dogecoin, wasn't it? They rounded it up wrong, and then like some merchant lost a lot of money in it. You know, like you know. So I think like in Bitcoin, and like I remember the early days of Bitcoin when I was like learning it. You'd get confused between Sats, a Satoshi, and a Bitcoin, and you'd want to send like, you know, 1,000 Sats, and you send 1,000 Bitcoin. The only reason why it would fail because you didn't have 1,000 Bitcoin to send. Luckily, you know? But I think it's very, very easy to make these mistakes, and there's probably been a lot of them, you know. I think, but people have managed to kind of cover it without it hitting the news. I'm pretty sure, just from like 2013 and
It
14,
doesn't
like
feel like 700 Bitcoin is normal or happens often, but I could be wrong.
like in 2013 and stuff, that did happen quite a bit with apps and wallets and exchanges. There's like quite a few like wallets and stuff that like made these simple mistakes, but it was somewhat recoverable because the price was low. But like now, like 700 Bitcoin is a hell of a lot of money. So yeah, for sure, it's a different thing.
What do you learn from an experience like this?
Double check. I don't know.
I guess in the next terms of service,
Withdraw
there's going to be
faster. Withdraw faster.
there's going to be a little clause in the terms of service that says, hey, if our interns accidentally send you some Bitcoin, you've got to send it back.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
It will be.
what if you send it back, but you make the fee like 100,000 Sats per byte? What happens then, JC?
Oh man, that's
Was it-
probably still under negligence.
Yeah, but okay. Here's the next question. What if the mempool is just super filled up and it goes to, let's say, 5,000 Sats per byte, but when you withdrew it, it was like at 20 Sats per byte. I'm just hypothetically speaking. So when you send it back, you're sending back like 20 or 30% of what you retrieved. I mean, come on, I'm just talking hypothetical. There's so many nuances to something like this, right?
What if Bitcoin forks and then you send it?
Yeah, and then it's like, oh, do you keep the Bitcoin cash and then only send back the Bitcoin? Like,
You'd be amazed, man. I only know this because my wife is an attorney and the weird stuff that I see. Like, you'd be amazed at like you thinking this stuff. The court would be like, okay, this is like this, and this had happened, so just do this. Like, there's like all this crazy stuff is happening constantly.
Yeah, my brother was talking to a lawyer. Like my brother works in like traditional finance, and like randomly they had like a guy from Bitcoin SV was doing a talk there for some, you know, and I kind of schooled my brother on what to ask him to kind of, you know, take this guy down a peg. But after the talk, he was speaking to a lawyer who was interested in like doing tokens on Bitcoin SV to like do property ownership. My brother says, well, what happens if you send the token that gives you ownership of a house to the wrong address? You know, like, does that person get the house? And the lawyer said, of course not. I said, well, why would you use like a blockchain to do that then? Like, well, you didn't have an idea. But I think all these legal questions come into play with stuff like, you know, DeFi and all, and like stuff.
You can't even give rights to like a rock. Like if I said like here's this rock and whoever owns this rock owns my house, you can't do that because the rock can't sue anybody. The rock cannot enforce like any rights. There's no way to do that. Or an NFT, like a digital token cannot enforce the rights over physical property or even intellectual property. It's not real.
I watched a movie though that was based on the Panama leak papers, and in the movie they had this scene where this guy he had I think it's like a bearer bond or something. He had a piece of paper, and he actually gave the paper to his daughter, and that transferred ownership. And that's all he had to do was like whoever held this paper. So I'm not sure if that was accurate because it was a movie. But
no, there's like such things as bearer bonds, but I'm not sure why. Like if they exist through some special legal arrangement or what, I don't know.
I'm just thinking about
wife on the show.
And they reaffirmed that you can't and it's particularly with like intellectual property, because when somebody infringes on your intellectual property, you have to sue them, and like the token can't sue people.
Not yet.
Well, last Thursday, our friends at the IRS said that they will seize virtual currency to settle unpaid taxes. What are your thoughts on that?
How do you see cryptocurrency? This goes back to, I mean, unless it's in BlockFi.
It's weird because I think like American law generally you need to have beyond reasonable doubt to convict somebody, but with taxes it's completely the opposite. You just need to suspect and they have to pay. So I don't know. It's
I think the IRS has enough to deal with right now rather than like coming and seizing some Bitcoin. Like they're not going to figure it out. I mean, like think about how
they don't know how it works, do they?
No, the IRS is a disaster. Are you kidding me? Have you ever tried to call them? I don't think they even have enough resources to pick up the phone within like 2 hours of calling them, let alone figure out how to seize Bitcoin. Like, yeah.
They'll take the low-hanging fruit and they'll say it, and maybe they'll be able to seize it if it's like on an exchange, right? Coinbase, that's probably what they're going after, but not the people who like lost it in a boating accident. They just don't have the resources to deal with that, and they're not going to sue a small person for that.
I like that because it's
not legal advice. But
until people are being affected by holding their stuff in an exchange, there are going to be a lot of people that are not going to care. Until they've heard all the stories of their friends getting their money seized or whatever. They're just not going to care, and so that would be a good catalyst anyway for, kind of to show you why you need to maintain custody of your assets.
Well, it's going to get to the point if that happens, where if there's like a mass run on Coinbase, IRS is going to be like, oh, they're going to maybe try to push law where it's like illegal for you to withdraw from a centralized exchange, because then it's like, how do you govern it? So there's going to be like maybe this weird fight in the future where you're not, if you buy cryptocurrency from an exchange, you're not allowed to withdraw it unless you meet some kind of crazy criteria or something.
I think that happens on some exchanges already. I think going back to BlockFi as well, I think they had some restrictions. I heard somebody say that you couldn't deposit your coin if it was like came from if it came from like a joint market, or they could figure out it was mixed.
I got banned from Cash App twice for suspicious coin, I guess, that I got from a decentralized exchange. Well, not really decentralized exchange, but like an exchange with no KYC on a website, like kind of like Changely. It's fixed float because they let you do Lightning there. But yeah, and I do think that I think you're right, Tidwell. I think eventually they'll probably try to enforce some kind of like $500 a day limit. Like, well, why do you need to take more than $500 out? You know what I mean?
I think it's more like, oh, you want to withdraw your Bitcoin? Well, you can spend it at another centralized service, and then it's just like I think it's going to be like where if you ever want to like withdraw it, like to hold it cold or something, it's going to be seen as like in the future there's going to have to be some kind of like, now I hope obviously that the culture doesn't lose that fight, and that the us as a society doesn't give into that, but that's like almost like a dystopic kind of future for this if we are very just passive about it, right?
I don't think it can, because I mean it's the same thing like when somebody says, well, what if they make you do KYC for Lightning? I mean, if you've got a network where you have to be KYC to peer with you, and all your peers also have to do KYC to peer with them, then all you've done is create a separate network of separate people. You're not actually on the Lightning network anymore. It's the same thing as like having a MasterCard in a store that only accepts Visa. The reason why people want to use this stuff is because they want to be part of a public network, not a part of a small private network. So if you turn that network into a private one, that might as well be a different thing. People that want to use Bitcoin are going to continue to use it without your exchange doesn't sell Bitcoin anymore, basically.
I think people who keep it on exchange, they don't want to withdraw Bitcoin. They want to withdraw fiat at some point when it's more, pretty much. That's what I think, right? So maybe they won't be so bothered by the limits, because they're not really in it to hodl and the Bitcoin standard, etc.
People are learning. I mean, it takes a while for this kind of this new thing to kind of permeate through society about like what this really is. Especially now, people are still thinking of it like a stock, but people are learning, and some percentage of like all the new guys that got in 2020, 2021, some bigger than we probably think percentage of those people are actually understanding what they're doing and what this is. Granted, the majority don't, but that's going to continue to improve, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
I want to say, I feel like it's a recurring theme. The next thing I'm about to say, I saw it on Twitter. I can't remember if it was today or yesterday, but now the Treasury is saying that they want to be able to track any crypto transaction over 10,000 US dollars. And the point I want to make is the state hates you and fuck central bankers. I'd like to say that first and foremost. And this is just like the vile, evil state encroaching on individual liberty and our sovereignty. And fuck that. Take your coins off the exchange, mix your coins, grow some balls, learn the tech, and don't get wrecked. And fight back. This is the way that we do it. But I mean, like the fact that this $10,000, this magic number of $10,000, I think that I heard Kaylin Long talking about the fact that number was decided back in like either the 70s or 80s, which in the 70s or 80s, 10 grand is a lot different than it is in 2021. Someone run the numbers, but it's probably like well over 100K.
If you
at least over 50K.
Account for inflation, if you account for inflation, it should be like $1 billion or like a couple $100 million nowadays, right?
It's ridiculous. Like a truckload of lumber. It's ridiculous. But I mean, the point is that like the laws are antiquated. They can't keep up. But they have no incentive to adjust these laws because they want control, and that is how the state operates.
$70,000.
That's the magic number, 70 grand from what 10K was.
If it was 1970, it'd be about $70,000.
Yeah. So
I think like the state will. Oh, go on.
I was going to say I've always felt like the flag of reasoning that what you're talking about there was going to be under the guise of terrorism. But now I almost feel like there's going to be two fronts of this, where it's terrorism and Bitcoin's not green and it's bad for the environment. So there's almost like two fronts I can see that are going to be fought against the ultimate, against Bitcoin.
Yeah, I kind of like, one of the things that people say about Bitcoin is like no state can shut it down because like, one country could shut it down, but then it would be popular in another country. So there needs to be like a global effort. And the only thing that's like, there's like a global effort on at the moment is climate change. So I think if they would like slip some sort of anti-Bitcoin thing into like a global climate change agenda, some sort of.
You don't think that they're coordinating now? I feel like it's already happened.
But like countries aren't coordinating. But the thing that countries are, well, maybe they're not really coordinating on it. But like from an optics point of view, like countries seem to be more aligned together on climate change than they are on any other issue. Like countries differ on tax and they differ on like property rights, but but like China and America and the EU will get together around the table and talk about how they can curb emissions, whether that's actually true and they actually believe it. But I think that's where, if they wanted to attack Bitcoin, they would try to slip it into a climate thing, because say that the US and China both don't like Bitcoin, they would agree to slip it into some sort of climate
I almost feel like the crime narrative, like, hey, Bitcoin's used for illegal stuff or terrorism, illegal crime, stuff like that, nefarious activity, you could just dub it as. I think that's almost waning, and green energy stuff is crescendoing right now, right?
Yeah, but I think there's also an opportunity to kind of like play the game, and I think, like I often say, I don't actually think it's technically true, or it's a legitimate thing to say, but like, you know, if I'm trying to explain Lightning to somebody who's concerned about Bitcoin's energy thing, I say that like Lightning it's super efficient and it's super green, because you basically like you can put 1 million transactions that don't even touch the chain, so it's like a super efficient way to use it. So maybe there's that, you know, like I thought that when Elon posted this thing about Tesla not accepting Bitcoin until it's green, I thought that maybe he's going to announce some sort of green mining initiative thing, and it's just about playing that kind of propaganda game. Like, you know, I think a lot of climate change, you know, there's like a marketing thing to it, and there's loads of companies we know that like say they're green, but everybody knows they're not really green, you know, and it's just playing the game and looking nice and making sure you're a moral person at like dinner party. So I think there's that kind of PR game that can still be won. But
yeah, I think something that's really frustrating to me is that, you know, you talk about the people who are mad at Bitcoin because of its impact on the environment. I mean, my question to all of those people would be to imagine a world without Bitcoin, and then tell me how we are less likely to, you know, run afoul of these climate targets that scientists have given us. Like, it's pretty clear we have done absolutely nothing to curb global emissions. We've been talking about climate change for decades, and nothing has happened. So whether or not there is Bitcoin, from the perspective of the people that are really concerned about climate change, we're screwed either way. So why would we not want to adopt something that has a genuine chance of altering that trajectory? Because the only thing that's going to happen with climate change is not protests, it's not Greta Thunberg, it's creating an economic incentive for green energy. And that's what Bitcoin does. And that's what frustrates me so much about this whole climate debate, is that it's a negligible amount of emissions. Like, we are probably screwed vis-a-vis the climate in a world with or a world without Bitcoin. So we might as well promote something that gives us an economic incentive to fight for green energy.
Speaking of Greta Thunberg, I love the Elon Thunberg compilations. Just saying.
I don't think it's about the climate though. The people are using the climate as it's a, you know, it's like if you get into an argument, somebody will bring up like racism, because you can't really argue against it. And I think the climate is one of those things that if you want to win a point, you'll throw this like, well, it's hurting the planet, and it's very hard to kind of, because if you argue against it, you sound like somebody who hates the planet, you know. So I think that's just something they're using, but it's not really about the climate, because all these people, you know, they have their rockets and they drive their cars, and you know, they go on their flights to, you know, the Caribbean. You know, it's all kind of like.
So as someone who hates the planet and is a carbon maximalist, I just always say one thing. And I've been saying this since 2016. The first time I heard like the mining is bad for the environment stuff is, I was like, well, do you believe in freedom? And then I throw it back on them, like, well, do you believe in freedom? And they like, well, do you believe in the planet? I was like, well, do you believe in freedom? Because those people can freely spend their energy however they want, whether it's on Bitcoin mining, Christmas lights, or whatever. The people who use that electricity have the freedom to spend. So if you don't believe in freedom, if you want to believe in a dictatorship, then you know it's fine. But you could also throw that back on them, right, Chris? So
that's an American point of view. A lot of people in the rest of the world don't believe in freedom. So,
well, I would almost say not all of America agrees with that. Sorry, Des, I think I cut you off. What were you going to say?
It's just a comfortable narrative. It's so dark. I think it's just a comfortable narrative. Like, you know, we spent so long fighting this. Okay, you know, this is used like Mike was saying, like for like nefarious means. We've finally fought off that. And so like this is just a new comfortable narrative for people who don't understand it, or they feel like they're being threatened, or in like their place in society and like the ways that they acquire their wealth is being threatened by this new thing that they don't understand. So they just grasp onto a new comfortable narrative that like puts them in the positive and like puts them in, like creates this public persona that like, oh, you know, they're fighting the good fight for this huge social cause. And like that's really not what it is. Like I'm so tired of like this green narrative. It's like, you know, hey, like, you know, we have a car that's like, you know, I don't know, it's like 13 years old. We need a new car. But it's like, okay, what makes more sense? Me to go out and buy some stupid ass fucking Tesla, and you know, where literally like I drive maybe like 5 like 50 miles a year. I live in the city where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna like go waste, and it's gonna actually cost me more to get an electric car than to just like fix the one I have and drive it until it like burns into the ground. It's like, okay, what's actually like saving energy? Like Elon's stupid cars, or like actually like, I don't know, renewables and like using what we have. Like, I don't know. It's just like this insane narrative that like everyone's like glomming onto, and it's really just a way so people can make money. Like that's what we need to uncover, where it's like it's all up, like these green narratives are all about these people making money. It has nothing to do with the environment.
I think it's also like, I'm not like an expert or a psychologist or the environment, I'll kind of preface that, but I think a lot of it is like, I think there seems to be this kind of what's the word I'm looking for, like masochistic self-punishment thing that like we humans have hurt the planet, and we need to kind of like stop having fun. We need to stop having nice cars. We need to stop going on holiday. I think it's like it's not really about the environment. I think there's like this recent trend of like, we need to punish ourselves. It seems to be kind of popular in like the Western world at the moment. I'm getting a bit deep and philosophical here, but you know, like we are guilty and we must pay our penance, and you know, and we must do less, not do more. And you know, it's kind of like a Puritan kind of thing that's coming out. So I think
we're
it's
all
tied
reverting
into
back to the Amish soon.
But like America is kind of somewhat built on that, right? Because it was like the Puritans who went there, and you kind of have this like, you had like prohibition, and there's always this kind of like it comes back now and then in America that we need to kind of like be like the Amish in a way. So I think a part of it is tied to that, and obviously there's like a legitimate climate concern, etc., etc. But I think a lot of it is that people tend to enjoy, like, you know, I only eat grass now, and I don't go on holiday, and I don't have a TV, and I'm living a pure life kind of thing. I think a lot of it is like kind of psychological thing, but maybe I'm thinking too much about it.
But I'd be curious, young Will, what do you think about all this green narrative? I mean, what does your generation think? I mean, is this like part of going to college? Is that you get indoctrinated with this group think? I mean, or was Alabama saved by the grace of God of being in the South?
We did have a lot of benefits being in the South, so I'm thankful for that. I don't know, I care about the environment a lot though. Like as a Southerner, grew up hunting and like fishing and just spending time in the outdoors. Like I want to keep it clean and keep it safe, but I don't know. I just don't think that focusing on like these little bitty like deprivations is going to do anything. Like not eating meat, not eating, not buying Bitcoin, not driving a nice car. Like that stuff is nice, I guess, if you want to like show that you care, but it doesn't really do much beyond showing that you care, in my opinion. Like we need structural change. Like my generation, at least the people that I, talk to a lot about this, like we care about the environment, but like we're not going to settle for like little changes and little like self-flagellation. We wanted a revolution that like will fundamentally change the kind of motivations that drive things that destroy the environment. And like, so for me, Bitcoin is very, very like in line with that. I think kind of what David was saying before is that it's our best chance at like a real revolution, a real climate revolution, and a real shift in the way that our society operates. So I think we should embrace that.
Yeah, I mean, look, 42 years ago, American President Carter, gas prices were at an all-time high. The guy gets up on the roof of the White House and installs solar panels. Then 7 years later, Ronald Reagan is in office, gas prices are at an all-time low, and the guy takes them down. I mean, for decades, we've known that the transition to renewable energies is solely a focus of, or solely a matter of the profit incentive. And so to the extent that Bitcoin incentivizes firms to invest in green energy, and then it therefore makes green energy more efficient and cheaper at scale, I don't think there's a better solution that we have to fighting the climate crisis than adopting Bitcoin. And I think Desiree brings up a really good point, that people don't even really care. They don't even know why they're arguing this. It's just easy for them. They say, oh, Bitcoin increases emissions? Fuck that. All right, it's bad. But I mean, by that logic, we shouldn't drive cars, we shouldn't have microwaves, we shouldn't have televisions.
Shouldn't reproduce.
We shouldn't do
have
anything.
children.
Fuck the Kardashians.
I think I think a good analogy here is like, I think it was Malthus, and it's like maybe in the 1800s. He basically said that we're going to run out of food. We're not going to have enough food to feed people, and he was right at the time. Actually, the way the population was growing, we would have run out of food. But a lot of people were saying that people had to eat less, but that's not what happened. Just technology got better, and people were innovative, and the free market let people kind of invent all sorts of better ways of farming, and now we eat too much food. So I kind of think like the climate change is something like that. Like we don't, maybe like don't obviously waste stuff, like don't just like go and like throw plastic bags in the ocean, etc. But like it's not, doing less is not the solution to this. We need to do more, but in an innovative way. And to your point, that's where Bitcoin can help, kind of, especially with the like making renewables actually, do something when they're not needed, right? Then the energy is not needed.
So you're a Monsanto maximalist, Chris?
GMO.
I think, Chris, that's exactly where like Bitcoin comes in for me. Beyond just like the efficiency stuff, it definitely like incentivizes efficient, clean energy. I think it also like kind of shifts the incentive to consume. If we have a deflationary currency, like there's less reason to just consume. There's more reason to save your money and like wait and bide your time until you like know that you're making a smart choice.
You're young. People did this before with bank accounts. Like I think I said before. So that was what money was for, to save.
Well, for people without bank accounts and for countries where that's not super available.
True, that's true. Yeah, exactly.
Your currency is inflating, 1,000%. The incentive there is just spend like right now. I got to get this this milk, these eggs like immediately, because they're going to be 2-3 times more expensive tomorrow. But a deflationary currency, it totally shifts that kind of incentive, and I think that's really where the beauty of this whole thing comes in, and what I think people are ignoring when we talk about like a real shift to Bitcoin.
Yeah,
I just want to know where I buy my ASIC Bitcoin miner that consumes coal directly, so I don't have to use a third-party coal burner, because I want to be the guy who actually feels like, oh, this miner is actually making an environmental impact directly, and it's not just the fact that I'm plugging it into a wall. I'm actually burning the coal here. So I feel like
people who like to burn coal because the increased carbon makes more, greenery, right? Something. So
well, if you care about plants, you want to increase carbon, because that's like their oxygen equivalent, right?
Yeah. I think something like plant growth has increased with carbon emissions, but obviously so is other things which aren't good. But
yeah, so like you increase plants, they produce more oxygen, we produce more carbon. It's the circle of life. The circle of life. I don't actually think carbon is so bad. Maybe we haven't tried enough carbon yet. I think we should try it a little bit more, see what happens.
Tidwell for president.
He's kind of being corrupted by big coal. He's kind of
Guys.
I think to the intern's point though, like no one's so intern one, the one on the left.
I love the interns. They're my favorite.
Yeah, but really, if you really care about the way energy is produced and it affects the environment, you are looking at state and local municipalities. Like you're looking at governance of bodies of certain territories, right? And depending on how they produce their energy is going to be solar, hydro, wind, whatever, coal. And that has nothing really to do with Bitcoin. If you want to use less energy, then you use less energy. And if the energy demand goes up, you don't necessarily have to burn coal. Necessarily, right?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think they're building coal power stations for Bitcoin mining, are they? It's like they're not adding any more, are they?
Well, if you ask Elon, they are. So I don't know. So
yeah, I mean that's not going to be profitable. Like that's the whole point.
This Bitcoin, yeah, exactly.
Guys, I gotta hop. But it has been absolutely lovely being on with you guys. I am going to watch on YouTube from dinner. But I appreciate y'all having me. Be at MintGox Arena, powered by ZEBEDEE. in 2 weeks. I'll see you all there. I'm super pumped, Joe. I'm excited to meet Clancy. It's gonna be a wild.
You get to meet our interns too, guys.
Yeah, follow me back on Twitter. I just followed you.
We got to get them to 1,000 followers. That's the goal. So
Yeah, I made my Bitcoin Twitter account like a couple days ago. I'm at 630 followers. So yeah, give me a follow.
Nice.
wow.
DM me on Twitter. I'll follow you guys.
Stay humble, guys.
Bye, guys.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Bye, Des.
Bye, guys.
JC finally got a seat. It looks like
I did. I'm
a
looking.
drink.
Drink delivery.
Holy smokes, JC. Rub it in our face.
Margarita?
Yes. I felt like something refreshing.
Hey, I got a question for you guys. Just us guys on here now. I think Des kind of brought up a point talking about this energy FUD and like how do we combat against this? I mean, it's like almost like everyone on here is kind of like rolling their eyes, but I do feel like this is going to be one of those big issues that we're all having to like constantly fucking deal with. And it would just be really nice to like have some kind of like canned response. I mean, have fun staying poor is a great one, but like if you wanted to engage in, you know, something of substance, I mean, like what would kind of be the go-to fallback?
Not only is Bitcoin using mostly renewable energy, but Bitcoin is the only industry that actually has massive incentive to care about how much energy it uses. I mean, you know, first of all, if you're not using clothesline at your house and you're using an a clothes dryer, clothes dryers already account for more Bitcoin than energy does. You could, $5 clothesline solves that problem. You could, kind of neutralize the entire impact of Bitcoin mining. But beyond that, though, clothes dryers also don't care where they get their energy from. Nobody is sitting there and, being meticulous about like where they plug their clothes dryers in and the kind of energy their clothes dryers use. Whereas Bitcoin, you have to. Bitcoin never uses scarce or expensive energy because it's very strongly incentivized to find the cheapest, most sustainable energy possible. And I think, it's driving innovation in that sense.
So it's like we have to meme that. I feel like because memes pack a big punch. Meme is warfare, and we have so many good memes out there. I feel like we have to like package kind of what you said, maybe not everything you said, but some of what you said into something that's easy that maximalists and frontliners can regurgitate. I feel like there's.
I think anyone who's worried about this, all you have to say is, "Oh wait, no, you don't understand. Blockchains only run on solar energy. It can't work on coal energy."
Yeah.
If they're so worried about this, they'll be willing to believe that as well, right? So
I agree with Michael. I think it depends who you're talking to. If you're talking to somebody who really actually wants to know, then you can actually give the correct answer, say about how it's the lowest bidder of energy, it incentivizes renewables, etc., etc. But if you're just talking to somebody like who's just like kind of big climate person, political activist kind of thing, you just got to kind of fight bullshit with bullshit and just like say no, like Bitcoin is using, it runs on solar powers, or I think you've just got to. It's like at that point, like I think if you have to explain too much, you've kind of lost the audience, right? So you just have to kind of do something catchy that probably isn't true, but it doesn't matter because it's.
I'm just going to start going so hard in the paint on Facebook. For you guys that don't know, I started a Facebook account back so I could take the trolling there. But I see all this FUD about like volatility, and I'm going to say, well, the price is volatile yesterday because Bitcoin mining is solely correlated to solar production, and yesterday was a very cloudy day on Earth, therefore price went down. So if you understand that it's the most green technology on Earth, then maybe you won't question the volatility. I'm just going to start like fudding incredibly hard on Facebook. I'm going to see how that goes for a couple weeks.
It probably is the way to do it. I can't do that, but that probably is actually because everybody else is. That's what the journalists are doing when they ignore reality and they just want to talk about what it comes down to. And one of the reasons why you can't necessarily even convince these people is because they don't value Bitcoin anyway. They don't know what it's for. They don't know what it is. And if they don't value it, it doesn't matter how much energy it uses. It's a waste. If they don't see any value in it, they don't care. There was a documenting Bitcoin Twitter account today. I like that Twitter account. Posted some old
like newspaper articles from when PCs were coming out and the internet was starting up, and there were like these articles about like, oh, plug in that PC and fire up your coal plant, and who's going to argue now that like we should stop using computers? It's ridiculous.
I think
Well,
it definitely
especially
comes
since-
down to that, where it's like if you are using something, it's not a waste of energy. If you're not using it, then it's obviously a waste of energy.
Yeah, so part of it is just education about why Bitcoin is valuable. If you can show people why Bitcoin matters, they won't be so quick to say it's a waste.
I also just like default back to have fun staying poor. Like, this is like everyone gets Bitcoin at the price that they deserve. It's so draining. Everyone on this call has done proof of work. We've put in the time and the research, and it's like I have a hard time having pity except for people I really care about. So that's like it's really tough.
I think we just have to wait, because I think like in England, at least, a lot of people who are pro-green, I think they don't really understand what they mean when they're pro-green. So there was like a study, like poll survey thing, and they asked people like, are you concerned? Like, do you think something needs to be done about climate change? And like, it's like 95% of people said yes. And then they basically said like, how much would you be willing to spend on it? And it's like $20. But the UK government, by like 2030, it has this thing where like, it wants every household to replace its gas boiler. And that's going to cost like people a shit ton of money. I think people are for climate change, but once they have to actually put their hands in their pockets and realize that they've got to like pay more for fuel, or they've got to like buy some sort of electric boiler which doesn't work the gas, and then like they're going to get taxed more, then they'll get Bitcoin. And then they'll start to say, oh yeah, Bitcoin is green. Actually, it's just all. I think we just need to wait for that, because a lot of these climate rules, like, they might benefit some people. Like, I have friends who work in the climate industry, and they're basically just, their wages are paid off like subsidies from the government. But most people, they're going to get hit hard in taxes and stuff. And, they like to say they're for the climate change.
They just latch on to
once they have to pay the cost of it.
When they pay the cost of it, it's gonna like fuck the world up. But then they latch on to these easy to remember bullet points, like it consumes more energy than fucking Switzerland, and it's like, okay, well, go fuck yourself. That's one cherry pick number. It's like we need those cherry pick numbers.
Didn't somebody say like you can pick any industry and it uses more energy than a small country?
Yes,
like
we were talking about that the other day.
Yeah, we're talking about those annoying
TVs use more country than the Netherlands or something.
Yeah,
those electric scooters
the birds
in, like,
big cities. Yeah, they definitely use more energy than Bitcoin. I don't know the numbers on that, but like, come on, we can imagine something just absolutely ridiculous that serves functionally no purpose in society using more energy than Bitcoin does right now.
For sure.
Comparing it to a country is so weird, especially like Switzerland, which is probably like intentionally
like
carbon
a moral
neutral.
Justification. Will.
Again, it's a bullshit marketing thing. So I think we need a similar bullshit marketing thing, which is catchy.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I've just been saying that Doge is backed by space debris. And then tweeting at Elon Musk to please pump more space debris in the atmosphere so I can make my Doge go up.
I mean, for me, what it really comes down to, and I have so many friends. So interestingly enough, like before I worked at Bitcoin Magazine, a lot of the work that I was doing was revolved around stopping the construction of a bunch of private prisons in Alabama. And, not to get too political, but the point is, I was around a lot of people who are very much on the left, and they're liberals, they're far on the left. And, I told them I was working at this Bitcoin company, and they, were like, oh, isn't that bad for the environment? Isn't that, unethical? All of this bullshit. And the question that I asked them is, at a certain point, you have to make a decision. Do I want to be the kind of person who dies on an ideological hill and is just virtue signaling as a titan of empathy? Oh, I care about the environment. Or do I want to fucking do something about it? And what I asked every single one of these people, every time they mentioned something about Bitcoin being bad for the environment, is tell me, since 25 years ago, the entire world has been fucking spewing about climate change at UN conferences, at World Economic Forum conferences. Tell me, how have we meaningfully reduced emissions? We fucking haven't. All of your
Fucking Zoomer
protests,
strong.
Think
Zoomer strong.
all of your protests, all of your op-eds, all of your ranting on social media has done absolutely fucking nothing. So you need to make a decision. Do you want to just keep shouting into the void and let the climate burn according to you? Or do you want to adopt a piece of technology that might actually change the paradigm and get the results that you want? And the sad fucking thing, Joe and Chris and Tidwell, is that a lot of these people don't give a fuck. They don't actually care about the climate. They care about posting things on their social media that let
Virtue
other
signaling.
people know that they care about the climate. And until we change that, it's not going to get any fucking better.
Get this man 1,000 Twitter followers. Let's get this man 1,000 Twitter followers
Bump
by the end
this
of the
man.
pod.
Yeah. Is your name Nick?
No, I'm David.
Nick
so-
can't mind. You should
David?
follow him on Twitter. Nick can't
David,
mind.
add me on Twitter. I don't know. I can't tell you what my Twitter is, but add me.
What's your full name?
JC Crown.
What's your social security?
Yeah, give me your social security, credit card,
Color of your
expiry
first
date.
car.
Wait, are
What's
you
your
are you
name?
Crown JC?
Yeah. It's
What's
Crown,
the name of your first pet?
the Twitter name.
Mother's
The
maiden name.
actual thing is like Barack Obama with some letters mixed up.
All right, I can't
I'm
find you on
Obama.
Twitter. I'll do it later tonight. I'll get
We'll
Joe to
do
send me
this
all of your
later,
handles.
guys.
Yeah.
Jeez, we're on a live stream. But anyway,
Yeah. I'm enamored right now, Joe. This is my chance.
I know you've got the full stage, JC. I think that it's about that time of the show where we start wrapping it up. Why don't you give us your final thoughts on life and what's happening, what you're excited about, and what's in that? Show us that glass again. Show us how much you've sucked down of that thing.
Just a little.
A college try.
Ask David about his beer pyramid right over to the left of me.
There you go. Okay, no shame in that.
Definitely gonna ask for a Venmo request later.
JC,
You should have a bottle of bourbon over there, Chris.
I have, yeah.
he's got like 100
Like-
bottles of bourbon open behind him.
It's
Just, like,
it's not
straight out of the-
Scotch, but like I want to get into bourbon, but you can't get good bourbon in England, right? So when I go over to the States, I'll look up good bourbon. But
Oh.
yeah, I've got some all right bourbons.
I tell you, I gotta hang out with you, Chris. I love that. What I love right now, what I'm excited about right now, is seeing all of how much Lightning is being used and taken for granted at Bitcoin 2021. I've talked to a lot of the guys that are going to be there. Everybody is using Lightning. I mean, I don't know. I haven't spoken to anybody yet who's like even doing both, like Lightning and on chain. It's like all Lightning. And when I mentioned this to Des and Tidwell and some others recently, like, I think this is going to be like the biggest Lightning event. And they thought about it, like, oh yeah, I guess we are using nothing but Lightning. Like, it didn't even occur to anybody because as Bitcoiners now, like in 2021, that's what we use. We take it for granted. It works really well. The UX is great, and that's just what we use.
On-chain is for opening channels.
Yeah. And I just love that. I love that's where we're at. I mean, we're there now. And this is gonna, it's almost, I'm saying this is gonna prove it, but it doesn't even need to be proven because we're all already using it every day. But this is gonna prove it to everybody else. The guys who maybe aren't like using Bitcoin a lot or are just learning, and they're gonna get to see, like what's possible here in a very obvious way. They might take it for granted too, but that's a good thing if they take it for granted.
Yeah, I feel like if you get this many people at a conference and give them hands-on with Lightning, there's going to be some new ideas that come out of this and new use cases. I mean, it's inevitable. You get that many people together, there's going to be some building that comes out of this.
I better not hear that 18-month phrase again after this conference. If you guys say, oh, maybe in 18 months you can use Lightning. When is it going to work? If they don't even know like anything and they're saying this, and it's like, if you say this after this conference, man, I don't know what to think anymore.
I have to make sure I say that to you at the conference now, JC.
Bring some of your Bcash friends, Tidwell.
Whoa, hey there. Let's not assume I have any of those friends. At least not on the podcast.
Tidwell,
I have a
what
lot of
are you,
them.
jacked about, man? What are you excited about? And final thoughts.
I'm excited about on-chain stuff, to be honest. I'm excited about Taproot, and That seems to be coming through fairly shortly. So
You think
that's
next
what I'm
period we
excited
got
about.
it?
Say again?
You
Oh,
think we got it next period?
I don't know. I think we have it eventually, but I think people are too optimistic, and I don't like to be optimistic. I like to just see stuff happen. So I feel like I've being optimistic in Bitcoin. I feel like someone just has to do it. So I just
Who
want
hurt
to,
you?
you know. Sorry, what?
Oh, I said, who hurt you, Mike?
Well, I think I think what really hurt me was how long Lightning took to be usable. You know, since it was, I would say it almost took 4 years, right, for it to before the first kind of implementations before it finally became.
Who got you into Lightning, Mike? I wonder.
Taj Dryja and Poon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's what got me into
I remember. No, it's true.
Yeah.
You were using it. But then who made you realize that it wasn't for nerds, just for nerds anymore?
it. Lightning Labs.
Okay.
Or Casa.
You're not getting a shout out, JC.
Yeah.
I remember the first time Lightning came out, and I went to make.
Sorry, real quick. I was at a bar. Okay, sorry, real quick. JC and I met for the first time at a bar, and this was back when I kind of wasn't using Lightning because I was waiting for it to get better, and JC blew my mind with how much better it gotten, like over like the course of like a year and a half or something. And we used Lightning there. I downloaded a wall on my phone. We used Breeze, and that was a good experience. Yes, I know where you're getting at now, JC. Sorry, I was like,
JC, maybe you changed the course of humanity with that simple transaction.
Definitely. I know I did. I mean,
Well,
look
good things
at him
happen
now.
in a
Look at
bar.
him. He's building Lightning infrastructure at the coolest company on the planet.
there you go.
I would say, like, when Lightning actually came out, and I had these games that ran on chain, I was frustrated with the fees and stuff. And then when Lightning came out, I was like, yes, I can finally put my games on Lightning. I was disappointed. I was like, what? Inbound liquidity channels? It was like quite annoying that like nothing worked. And then I have to I remember trying to buy like a t-shirt from DG Lab, like with the Eclair wallet. It just like didn't work. And it took me like 5 attempts to get routing. So it has come a long way.
Chris, what are you pumped about? And closing thoughts.
I'm pumped about all this drama ending, like, everything crashing and Elon, the richest man in the world, hating Bitcoin. And then in a few months, it's like, oh, Bitcoin's still here and it's doing all right. And people will be like, this is not what I expected. I thought it's going to zero. And it just kind of like, I feel like we add an extra layer of like, kind of like an extra bottom of like, okay, we can't we've strengthened the whole network. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about some like altcoins just basically getting wrecked, like because due to like the forest fire that's happening now. And of course, I'm gonna have.
Do you think getting wrecked is part of this is the way?
Oh, again, I'll preface this because I don't want to be callous about this because there are a lot of people who are genuine and have probably put like their life savings into altcoins and they're going to get hurt and they're going to like hurt the family. So I'm not happy about that, but I just think it's a learning experience. And this is how the economy should work. There are kind of like these, every time there's a blowout, the weak things die and we let them die and the strong things remain. Obviously in the real economy, that doesn't happen. We kind of keep things propped up. So I kind of think that, again, I've been in this space for like since 2013. I've seen coins come and go. And every time there's like a bear market, a bunch of like shit coins disappear. But then again, next bull market, new ones come. So it's a cycle. So I suppose we're going to see some things disappear, and the next bull market, some new ones will come. But Bitcoin is like the common thread that kind of stays strong, I think. But what I'm most excited about is obviously like we're super pumped for Bitcoin 2021. This is just going to be like the event. And I should say that if you can't make the conference, MintGox is an online experience, and we're going to be streaming, and you will be able to also play games and earn sats by just watching the stream as well. We're going to do some like fun giveaways. So yeah, that's what I'm super pumped and nervous about, because obviously it's a technical thing and we have to make sure everything runs smoothly. But if anything goes wrong, it's Michael's fault. I'll just say that on air now.
Something's going to go wrong, but just it's how you deal with it. And
it's all good.
Roll with the punches.
Not a good note to end on. Everything's going to go awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
We're
It's
gonna
gonna
do
be so fun. It's gonna be so fun. This is gonna be the most fun we've had since February 2020.
I'm gonna
even feel
headshot somebody and teabag them
I-
on some game.
In
I-
real life. In real life.
Well, it's Miami, but I have a feeling that the conference is going to be like so great, and that even if like super bad technical hiccups happen, it's still going to be amazing, and we'll fix them, and it's still going to be awesome. I feel like the energy is just going to be amazing there. So
Yeah, we'll just we'll just rain stats on people for their inconvenience. Just throwing
hey,
stats.
we got to give away a Bitcoin somehow, right? So
Exactly. I don't think we're gonna do it. People don't understand. You get into, even if you're not gonna be at the conference, get into our Discord because there's so much money to give away. I don't know how we're gonna do it. It's gonna probably get kind of crazy if you're in the right place at the right time.
Is the best way to find that Discord link? Where
Uh,
can
go
we find that
to
link?
zebedee.io.
Okay.
Zebedee.io. It's all there.
All right. Well, hey, let's take it to our friends. Let's see. Which one of you guys? Will, final thoughts? What are you jacked about? Final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm super excited about the conference. Obviously, I saw that tweet. Somebody compared it to Firefest, and at least if we'll have water, sats, and video games, if everything else fails. So
Exponentially better than
it's
Firefest.
way better. And hopefully we have a place to stay. We'll see. I think the conference is going to be awesome. We're working really hard in the office in Nashville to make that happen. Just support the BTC people however we can. So it's going to be really cool to see all that pay off. Non-Bitcoin related, super excited about the UFO stuff. I know we didn't talk about that at all, but wow, the government released some crazy stuff about UFOs that is definitely worth looking into after we get off this call.
please
We can
please
go along.
share some of that somehow. How do we figure out more information about you? Do you have a Twitter as well?
I do have a Twitter as well.
Shill
I'm
yourself.
Will Henson 1115 on Twitter, and I don't have laser eyes yet, but those are coming soon.
We're gonna get you laser eyes.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
Never mind. I don't want to call you.
No. I'm increasing toxicity by the second. But yeah, I got some hot takes about the UFOs. The military's confirmed like hundreds of sightings, as it's the technology's potentially hundreds or thousands of years beyond what we can imagine, which is crazy. Maybe that'll incite a shift to Bitcoin.
Well, hey, I don't want to kill this stream, but I want to keep this going. David, you want to say your final thought, and then Zebedee, you can drop if you want. We're going to keep the stream going because I have to chop it up on UFO. You're free to stay around for that.
I mean, yeah, look, my final thoughts are that for the past 14 months, in various ways, shapes, and forms, everyone has suffered. Everyone has been deprived of something, whether it's losing loved ones, whether it's bullshit lockdowns they don't agree with. It doesn't matter. No one has had a good time over the last 14 months. I've been taking online fucking classes, and if I were paying for my education, I would have already dropped out. And so what I'm fucking excited for, beyond Bitcoin, beyond what y'all are doing in the MintGox stuff, is being able to be in person in a large fucking room and having a good time, because that's what we were put on God's green earth to do. And I'm really fucking excited to be in a space with so many people that are tired of the current paradigm and that are excited for a bold vision for the future. It's going to be so much fucking fun.
I can imagine like, lockdown is horrible for young people. But once you're older, like me, it's not as bad as you think. Unfortunately, it's a horrible thing to say.
How are young people supposed to know what to wear anymore? They can't like copy their friends.
They all get hired at Bitcoin Magazine so they can see what each other wear every day.
Yeah, it's so funny. There's like one intern that wears khakis and like a tucked in button down every day, and then like half of us wear fucking pajamas, and it just doesn't matter because we get our work done.
The first day I came in wearing a button down and slacks, and got made fun of for being a suit. So didn't make that mistake twice. It's been a great learning experience.
Hoodie's the standard.
The
Sounds like a
standard
really
is
cool thing.
definitely sweatpants and a sweater and like a tie-dye hoodie. I think that's where we're at right now.
All right. Well, everyone, gang, we're going to pivot to UFOs. You can hang around for this. I saw the videos and it was very interesting, Will. I was not aware of hundreds of sightings that the military confirmed. So I saw the video of like the soldiers. It was the black dot hovering on the ocean, and then it like disappeared in on itself. Is that the video you're talking about?
Yeah, I actually haven't seen any videos, but I know that the Pentagon released some documents. I mean, about a year ago, they said, you know, hey, we have seen some UFOs. Like, it's not a secret anymore. So that was big, but like there was some hinting this week, maybe even today, about like congressional hearings about these things. And they said that there's been like a substantial amount of sightings. So yeah, there was somebody who reported an object that traveled like 60 miles in 4 seconds, is like to their knowledge, which is just insane. And they're not saying what they think it is really. So there's a few options. I mean, it's either our own tech that we're revealing, you know, for some reason. It's either, or it's, you know, Russian or China tech that, you know, they've got going on that somehow like hundreds of years beyond anything we can do. And then even in that case, like, why would we talk about it? And then or the third case in my mind is it's something like kind of supernatural or otherworldly, which you can't really say and like be taken that seriously, but like it's really wild that there's experts in this country who are like confounded by this phenomenon right now and admitting that they don't know what's going on.
Well, so does this correspond with the Bob Lazar stuff?
Oh yeah,
the videos that were released, I'll try to find a link and send it to you guys.
Like, is someone piecing all like the quote unquote truth together? Because I think it kind of like Bob Lazar, this, and you know, like I feel like all that has some kind of legitimacy to it to some extent, right?
The video that was released, this one specific flying object that was released today, it's in line with exactly what Bob Lazar described, like anti-gravitational propulsion, and then it literally like disappeared. It didn't go into the sea or into the sky. It disappeared.
Yeah, in Harry Potter, that's called the invisibility cloak. Very, very future tech.
I guess like
none of this.
That's a question because like I remember, so the jet engine was invented in England by Frank Whittle, and when that first was flown, there were sightings of like, what is this technology? There's this plane that's flying. It doesn't have a propeller. That's not possible. And people said it's a UFO, but it's just the new tech. So I guess that's the thing. Is it new tech? You know, I think even the stealth bomber that the States made when that was first released, it was like something completely new. So that's the question. You know, is it something that is just like you kind of think that Area 51 and like the government, the tech that they have that's not public, they keep it secret because they don't want China or Russia to know about it, but they need to test like these things. So all these sightings of those things, which there is a precedent for that in the past. And then like now, like a stealth bomber it's not particularly UFO. It's like kind of like an old plane from the 80s. So is it just like technology has improved that much? Or is it like extraterrestrial, which obviously I think I'd be skeptical on that. But then there's like the Fermi paradox that if we're here, that means there must mean there should be a shit ton of other people here, right? But the next galaxy is like a bazillion light years away or something. So, you know,
the tech thing for me is interesting because that's what I thought forever. Is like, oh, there's definitely just some really, really high tech that we don't know about, and some people in the desert have happened to see it. But my question is like, if this is tech that the U.S. is developing, like, why would they acknowledge it publicly?
Well, like again, like I think a lot of people like to think that the U.S. has the kind of, you know, it has like the deep state which controls everything, but the U.S. is a kind of built up of different institutions, and not everyone is, you know, is kind of controlled by the other. So there's things that, like, for example, I don't know about the US, but England has a rule that stuff must be made public after X amount of time. And the institutions are separate enough that stuff does get made public, even if one institution doesn't like that happening. And there's no like overarching kind of politician who can make it not happen. I don't know, again, I'm speaking for the UK. So maybe it's something like that, right? You know, maybe like you know, you have like the president, the Oval Office, and then you have like the the NSA, then you have like the central bank, and then you have the NSA, and obviously there's not one person that can necessarily pull all those strings and make sure it does his bidding. So maybe they act somewhat independently, and something gets released that another arm of government doesn't like. Maybe it's something like that. I don't know.
Well,
But
if the
again, like I'm
American
not from
government-
the US, so
Yeah, if the American government has done anything consistently over the decades, it's lied to the American public. So I don't know about all of that.
but that's but what part of government, right? Again, the American government, is it one thing that the president can control completely, or is there like separate institutions which act to some degree independently? And
yeah. So,
These are the same.
Chris, we'll talk about
institution
this at the
that runs
conference. We
Central
can
banks.
have a long conversation about this.
well,
at the
my
conference.
government won't let me leave England, and your government won't let me in.
Oh,
in
you're not
in
coming?
the state. I'm not able to come because we're not allowed to leave from the. So there are ways to do it, but you have to travel to a second country and like stay there for a month. But my wife is pregnant at the moment, so I'll be a horrible husband to leave her for a month. So unfortunately, I'm going to be there like virtually, but not physically.
Well, congratulations on that, and I'm sorry to rub it in your face that you won't be there because we're gonna have a blast.
I'm gutted. I know it's horrible, but I'm thinking like, how bad a husband and father do I want to be?
Well, if you bring your wife with you, then you might have an American baby, and then you won't have to worry about it growing up in a socialist country.
There you go. Well, that's
It'll
what
be
happened
American citizen. You can
our
you
prime
can just
minister
move
was
here.
like that, actually. Boris Johnson was born in America in a similar thing, but ironically, he's the one that's making us socialist, even though he's apparently a conservative. Apparently,
I don't know. I don't know if liberty exists. I don't know where liberty really exists nowadays. To be honest.
I think like.
Have you been to Florida?
You've been to
Yeah, I guess Florida.
I've been to Florida like 7 times. Like I'm quite lucky that my father, it was very common for English people to kind of buy a house in Florida and rent it to other English people who want to go to Disneyland. It's like a popular thing in like the 2000s. So I used to go to Florida every year. So I love Florida. It's like my childhood vacation spot.
Here's the deal. I have a problem with all of this. Number one, I believe. Okay, so number one, I'm not an alien denier. I think you're a fucking idiot if you think we're alone, and that's fine. But I've like the thing that gets me like tripped out is thinking about what is the state's incentive to leak this information, because everything they do is calculated. Everything they do, there's something that they're going to gain by releasing this. And to say like, oh, well, freedom of information, it's been a decade now they have to release it. Like, no, fuck that. If it's really like alien technology, you think they're ever going to release it? I would say no. So, man, it has me really scratching my head.
If they're good at lying, they're really good at not releasing things.
But there's 2 things like people think that like Bitcoiners often say the government is useless and can't do anything wrong. Private companies in the free market are better. But then you say the government is useful at everything, but it's great at managing conspiracy theories. I think like, again, I can't speak for the US, but the UK government, things are constantly being leaked. We have a big leak at the moment because like one politician fell out with another politician. He wants to screw him over, so he kind of like.
Chris, Men in Black are not the House of Representatives.
Again, I can't speak for the US. I don't know your system, so
okay. Men in Black are. Have you seen the movie Men in Black?
Of course, yeah.
It's based in reality. In the House of Representatives, like the House of Commons, bunch of fucking idiots sitting around yelling. What I'm trying to say is like, I can see that a very small unit of the government that's funded off the teat of the government could do whatever the fuck they want and be very rogue.
Well, we have MI5 and MI6, which is where like James Bond, right? So that's our kind of like men in black that we like to think are very competent.
Aliens are propaganda for people who don't like sports, so they don't pay attention to politics. That's my theory on why the government leaks all the alien stuff.
To give you entertainment?
Yeah, it's another form of the Coliseum. Some people don't like. Some people are like obsessed with sports. They could tell you like how many yards everybody ran that season.
Yeah.
And that keeps their mind like completely full. But other guys, they don't like sports, so they got aliens. It's something you can dig into. It's something that takes all your time. Not that I don't believe aliens don't exist. They obviously do. I just also realize the same reason aliens exist, because the universe is so massive, the same reason they don't give a fuck about this little dot.
think the thing that we're not really addressing though is the fact that like there's about to be a congressional hearing about this stuff. Like there's a 200 odd 300 people who are about to like get briefings and listen to experts and like debate on a public floor that's going to go into our like National Archive forever, and they're going to be talking about UFOs. And like, yeah, maybe that's just entertainment for people. Like maybe it's just society the spectacle. We're
An
gonna like
interesting precedent for this is like so I kind of lived in Japan for a long time, and Japan, like they had something called sakoku, where they basically shut the country off. This is like during like the samurai period. They shut it off from the whole of the world, and basically they didn't know anything outside. Japan was the world, right? There was nothing outside of that. So in a way, you could think Japan and the world, and then these weird machines called the black ships turned up, and they thought they were literally aliens. And this is like it's basically America came and forced them to open up, and they were just like so in awe of like this technology, and they were like they had no idea that these people exist. Like obviously like the elites knew they exist, and it was all hush hush, but the common people, they had no idea, and it was like a big conspiracy that there were like people outside, and there was like a place outside. So I guess that the same thing could happen, like, you know, talking about space, like, you know, us commoners, we don't know about the outsiders until one day they come in their big black ships. But this kind of happened like in history in Japan, right? And it's quite analogous, you know. And then Japan, there's actually an anime called Gintama where they actually play on this, where they bring it into the future, but it's Japan. Instead of America coming, aliens actually come from space. And then aliens like improve Japan with technology, which is what kind of America did when they made Japan open. They gave them all the technology. So it's but yeah, I think like we think it's crazy that like aliens could come with their big ships, and you know, we think it's a conspiracy theory, but the people in Japan thought the same thing, that like there were these beings outside who looked completely different from us, who had like this magic technology. So
well, I think the thing that I'm kind of getting at is like, it seems like I totally agree. I think that it's possible that there's just something going on that we're not aware of. There's definitely historical precedents, but the fact that we're having congressional hearings means that either our politicians are just completely unaware of this, or they're just putting on a show. And I feel like both of those scenarios are pretty odd as like an American populace.
I feel like those are the two most obvious. I don't know which one's true. They're totally opposite. But like if it were something, it would be either ignorance or intentional, intent. It's one of those two. Like that's basically the only two possibilities.
Yeah. Also, really quickly, I've got to get going, but it was really nice to meet you.
Yeah,
all.
let's wrap this thing up.
yeah, sure.
Tidwell, Crown, are y'all going to be at the conference?
Yeah, my state allows travel to Florida.
Incredible.
For now.
What about you,
JC?
JC?
Oh, I'll be there. Yeah, for sure. I'll be there.
All right. Well, I look forward to meeting both of y'all. And like I said, I got to hit the road, but thanks for joining us.
All right, let's wrap this thing up. Willie Vanilli, hit that B-roll.
Oh yeah, let's do it. Bye y'all.
Peace, guys. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.